Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gibril, and today I'll be speaking on the death penalty. As we all know, the death penalty is an active norm in our judicial system today, and I'll be speaking on why I'm for it. Firstly, not every criminal deserves the death penalty. Only those who breach federal capital offenses do. In other words, only those who murder do. Some capital offenses include murder involving torture, murder for hire, murder during hostage taking, or in Matthew Poncelet's case, murder during a kidnapping and murder related to rape. These allegations are far more extreme than minor crimes and mistakes. These are extremely evil and cruel actions gladfully executed by these criminals. Secondly, many people argue about the method of lethal injection, which is by far the least brutal way of serving the death penalty. The first injection of pentobarbital causes a deep unconsciousness of the inmate, putting them in a temporary coma. The last two injections gradually work their way to stopping the heart of the inmate. This way, the inmate is in a deep state of unconsciousness while the injected drugs undergo the process. Essentially, the convict takes a peaceful nap and does not wake up. Thirdly, justice is the main idea behind the death penalty. To the innocent individuals that lost their one precious life, to the parents that had their children and their shared dreams snatched away from them by a hateful individual, to the mother whose average day is interrupted by a call from the police in which she discovers that her daughter has been raped and murdered by a random stranger. And lastly, to the boy attempting to romantically charm a girl he likes in the woods, not knowing that they would both face their death due to two intoxicated men taking out their evilness on people that they do not even know. These are realities, and they really need justice. The death penalty needs to stay in the judicial system and serve America as it should.
Hey guys, my name is Morgan, and I will be speaking against the death penalty. But first, I'm going to tell you a story. On a chilly night in October of 1997, two Atlanta officers helped a man bring home his intoxicated girlfriend. When they wouldn't leave his doorstep, Gregory Lawler brought out his rifle. Officer John Soe was hit 15 times and was immediately pronounced dead. 3 years after the incident, Lawler was sentenced to death. At 7 p.m. tonight, the 64-year-old will be strapped to the table and asked for his final words. The Forgiveness Foundation states that Lawler will be the 7th Georgia inmate to be executed this year. At the bottom of the article, it also asks the public to pray for the family of the officer as well as the family of Lawler. I think this is important. Various studies show that forgiveness and rehabilitation defeat the outdated eye for an eye concept of justice in terms of three things. One, the emotional state of the people involved. CNN criminologist Scott Vullum reported in 2007 that an overwhelming 20% of 150 families didn't feel any less grief after the person convicted in their case had been killed under capital punishment. Two, the total cost, a majority of which is covered by you, the taxpayer. An analysis conducted this past June by Liam Smith for the Reading Eagle crushes the belief that life imprisonment is more cost-effective than the death penalty. While Maryland is not included in the 31 states that still enforce it, Pennsylvania and Delaware are, and every year they pay a hefty tab. Consider this: $870,000 in prison costs, on top of $250,000 in adjudication. This means the full cost for a single death sentence in Pennsylvania is about $3.1 million. $3.1 million for a sentence that is not at all guaranteed. Some cases are rescheduled, some are even abandoned when evidence provided at the very last minute proves the person is innocent or that their behavior was impacted by an outside factor. In Gregory Lawler's case, this was autism spectrum disorder. He testified that he acted in self-defense after jurors became aware of this mental disability that could very well have impacted the events in October 1997. In a separate filing Tuesday, his lawyers argued his execution would violate his constitutional rights. Evidently, they failed. In conclusion, the trauma and suffering brought upon a family that has lost a loved one should never be minimalized. Life without parole is a suitable alternative, one that Maryland has already adopted. It prevents the judicial system from playing God because people aren't as bad as the worst thing they have done, as Sister Helen from Deadpan Walking puts it. Abolish the penalty to save and ultimately change the course of a person's life, like Edward Norton's character in American History X. Abolish the penalty to save millions of dollars for your community. Abolish the penalty and choose forgiveness over vengeance.